About what I was talking about that I didn't notice. But I got super into a patch over the weekend. And basically what we're doing, I'm excited about what we're doing. But let me catch up to what's happening here. So basically, today we're going to be working more on this castle base here in the plains. I might do a little bit of goblin fighting, I'm not sure. But you see these kind of walls over here, right? This kind of stuff? That's exactly what we're going to be building more of. In fact, we're going to be reworking this wall over here to be more finished. Because it actually ends right there, and we're going to make it go all the way around. But before that, I want to babble a little bit. Because, over the weekend, I got incredibly into a patch for Path of Magic with a new mechanic. And, I keep calling them Wild Diverger. But maybe a better name is Wandering Diverger. That seems to explain itself better. Because Path of Magic already has special Diverger that are useful to the player, that the player summons like in their base or something. But one subject or topic that I really haven't gotten to much is exploration. I haven't really tried to bolster and increase the feeling of exploration much on Path of Magic. In fact, I've kind of harmed exploration in some ways. I guess the Diverger tunnels are probably helpful for exploration. That's one mechanic that targets them, but anyway, good morning, Ford. Or good afternoon, wherever you are. I think you're in the US, right? So it's the morning for you. Welcome back. It's always good to see familiar names. So the patch that I'm babbling about is an exploration-themed patch, combined with balancing certain parts of Valheim that create a lot of items. The way I look at it is like, the output is too high in certain places, right? So, for example, in the plains in vanilla Valheim, there's just loads and loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of black metal scraps. Once you start actually fighting, it's just absolutely everywhere. So it tends to be something that's exciting to get, but then you start having so much of it that it's like a genuine challenge to care. Right? And we've already worked on a couple different ways to address this on Palm. But in general, I think that you should have multiple different things for players to discover and find, and it works out better that way. So instead of having one option forward, there should usually be like 3 or maybe even more. At least 3, I guess. But the idea with these Diverger is that they're different than the Diverger that the player gets normally. The current Diverger are more... They like have more practical, reusable purposes. The idea is to give players a new thing to put in their base and build around and protect, right? Whereas with these Wild Diverger, it's a different attitude. It's more like, how can we incentivize players to not only explore, but have reasons to explore, and give them things to protect out in the wild. So they find these special Diverger, and then they have to stop that Diverger from dying or running off, because the things they need to do are much more long-term compared to Diverger trading. A Diverger trade is limited to 1 stack at a time, but these Wild Diverger, they often ask for huge quantities of black metal scrap. That's their currency. So we moved black metal scrap overproduction from plains into Mistlands, and then made it a currency for these special Wandering Diverger. And those Diverger offer like 18 or 20 something different options So depending on the one you find, he'll have one offer for you. Makes sense? But I won't babble too much more. I think at this point, I just needed to make more food because in this base I actually have food that I've made now. So I ate all the food other people made. And I learned the hard way that I have to remember to eat food because otherwise the goblins get me. The goblins always get me eventually, but it's better if I eat food first. And I will say, I love the little ting noise. You know, since the Bog Witch update, they did all these tiny little quality of life stuff, right? And one of them is that they added this like crafting system and the farming skill system and stuff, right? So when you make things now, you get an extra one sometimes, and you hear this little ding. It's like this cute little noise. And it's funny because I often get it when I'm making like fire arrows or something, and I'm like, oh yeah, one more arrow, right? But then I just got it while making like serpent stew or something, and it's like, ah, one more serpent stew. That feels more meaningful than like one more arrow, you know? Ford says, it's like 4 a.m. for me. I'm just sick and... Oh, you're still awake. Well, bless you. Bless you. Do you have, So maybe you noticed this. I don't know. But when I get sick, I get... In the beginning of getting sick, I get this weird insomnia where it's hard for me to sleep. But I've never figured out, like, is that part of getting sick? Or is it the fact that my throat is sore and then I drink a lot of tea because I want to soothe my throat, so I just like constantly chug tea all day, which of course is gonna make one, how should one say, one's gonna become caffeinated, right? You know, I'm just realizing, how is it that I can cook over this? Is that a normal thing? Can you normally cook over a smoldering campfire? I mean, like, realism-wise, that totally makes sense. It's actually easier to cook over smoldering embers than it is to cook over open flame. I mean, at least in my experience, you know? But I feel like I shouldn't be able to use this cauldron, but I can. Is this just how it works? I've never noticed that before. Curious. Ford says that the Bog Witch update is one of his favorite Valheim updates, and that he drinks a lot of tea regardless, but also feels like a struggle to sleep more when he's sick. Yeah, I wonder why that is. I guess it makes sense though, it's uncomfortable, right? And when things are uncomfortable, it's harder to sleep, right? Ford says, I think the fireplace for the cauldron, it only matters if the fire is lit rather than burning. That makes sense. I mean, that's how it works in real life. I like, there's a little fire pit here, and I like making little fires in it for no reason. Not like big ones, because I have neighbors and stuff, so I can't like make a proper fire. But I'll like burn some charcoal and that kind of thing. Hey, look at this. This is kind of a creative angle for the spam. Yeah, normally they try and act like they're complimenting you. But this time the person's like, hey, I can't really hear you. Like, those suckers. So what do they do? Does anyone know? Like, I just know that they're scams. And I'm used to YouTube where everyone's like, oh, you know, these subscribers that are fake that you can buy from us, they're totally the same as normal subscribers. Yeah, you should definitely get them, and it's definitely the same. Don't worry about it. You know, no, I just don't buy any of that nonsense. I know it happens. Like, irrelevant, a waste of money. But does anyone know, like, because you get those messages a lot on Twitch, and I guess on Kick, apparently. So, like, what is the scam? What happens if you add these people on Discord and talk to them? Like, what do they do? You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know, to be honest. Hey, I actually have some metal. Let's see. I need to rework this whole part, but I think now we're ready. I've gotten all kitted up. I've ranted a bit about this patch that I'm obsessed with working on. So now it's time to go work on the area that I was actually talking about. Ford says, one of the strangest scams I've experienced has been someone trying to make an art commission for you, then using like pre-exist. Ah, wait, I think is that what the art thing is? Are they using like AI art and acting like they're actual artists? That would be because I've noticed there's a lot of them who like are trying to sell you banner art for Twitch. So like the first step is convincing you that it's really super important, right? But that doesn't work anymore, so now they have to trick you into something else. And I don't even know, I guess like banner art on Twitch is kind of like on YouTube a cover thumbnail for your page. I don't even know, to be honest. Like that's how bad it is. I just know better. Like I do, what's it called? A vibe check. Yeah, that's right. I do a vibe check and I'm like, nah. People don't write paragraphs. Like they don't write that way. Like friends and people who already know you might, but for the most part, random comments online are like borderline illiterate. So like it's always kind of sketchy when something has like full total grammar. It's like, Nope, that's right, these are explosive arrows. Do you ever feel like death skidoing is kind of like baseball? Hey, Constantine. What's up? Good to see you again. So, no, actually, these aren't path walls. Constantine asks, hey, are you building walls along the path? Can't stay for long now, have to work. We'll watch full later. So, what I've been doing is working on this plains... What? Ah, oh, god dang. They've been slaughtering my diverger, those little devils. Oh, and he got me sick. Ah, this is the first time I've experienced that. Well, so much for that fancy food. Alright, well, before that happened, here's what I'm working on. This is the plains base. And I'm trying to make like a tower, but I did a couple, not a tower, sorry. It's like a castle themed area with the combination of like these castle elements, but also utility. So the idea is that you bring stuff to build from these goblin camps, basically. Because now the goblin camps drop metal and stone. So they drop growstone, stone, and other things. So all of this is built with stuff that you get from raiding goblin camps, right? So this base is like built into the side of this area, or this cliff area, and it started with a builder's bunker. And the idea is that it's really easy to process the stuff that you get from goblin camps. Now, I learned some lessons in the swamp-like factory base. So this time, I'm trying to like hide the different elements and make them more convenient to use. So, like, when you sail over here, you can just put the heavy materials in this conveyor belt in the very bottom, and then come up here, and then you just turn the belt on, for example. And then it'll bring all of the heavy stuff over here, right? I already did that as a test. So this is all stuff from like the boat just tossed in. And then the idea is that it makes like the bringing back experience more fun. Because now, if I had a ship full of metal, I could just like do whatever base task and then come back over here, turn the conveyor off, and then the metal will be like piled right here so I can put it in a cart and then sort of bring it. I haven't figured this part out yet, but I need to get it onto this conveyor here and take it up. I used to have them attached through this channel, or this like tunnel right here, but I got rid of it because the more conveyor belts you have, the more laggy it is when you use the conveyors. So I found it just to be better to make them shorter, and then it worked like noticeably faster. But that's what I'm working on. So what we're going to be doing now is adding more of these kind of walls, except to this area here. This is going to be like one of the main like receiving areas, and I want to make it more like it'll look like a round turret kind of thing, if that makes sense. So it's not going to be like a big tower. It'll just be like one wall, but I'll make it sort of round. So what I'm doing now is setting up exactly where I want it to be and figuring out the pattern. It looks like I can just do one tilt here. So we're doing 2 units and then 1 tilt. 2 units, 1 tilt. I should actually just be using these. Can you tell? Yeah, I got attacked here. Not by like a raid or anything, but one thing I'll warn you about if you play on Path of Magic, if you haven't played on a persistent server before, it's way less, like, you can log off and log back on, and, like, things have happened while you were gone, right? So, like, that's happened to me a couple times. And it happens when, like, other players are in an area nearby, right? So it activates. So, like, the Diverger here, when I came back, there was just a Tribunal Shaman just, like, chilling in this cage. And then also over here, I had another Diverger in this area here. This is, like, the conveyor that replaces that one. But it was just a Tribunal Shaman in this cage. So, like, I spawned in and I was right here, like, looking at these eggs. And then, like, I just got fireballed and, like, killed. It's pretty funny. So I had to take care of that. But now let's stop getting lollygagging here and actually work on the frame. And I'm going to use these. It's so much more fun, honestly, to use wood iron beams. And let's see just how this looks. We're going to make this basic frame. And remember, we're going for some circular elements. But basically this, we want it to look like a castle. It's like, you know how the top of a castle tower would look? That's kind of the look we're going for. But also at the same time, practicality and usability would be good. So I think this definitely has a nice curve. That looks nice. Awesome. But I think it's a little bit too small. So if I go 3 each turn, that's going to make it too big. So I think what I'll do is I'll alternate. I'll go 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. That might work. I did that in another part of the tower and it seemed to work well. I'll read some of Ford's comments. Ford says, someone I legitimately made a com for had to put in their Discord rules. I am not looking for any graphic design. Oh, that's funny. I doubt that changed the spam though. Like, let's be real. Are these people, like, gonna actually listen? They don't take the time to read the Discord bio, you know what I mean? At least I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong about that. And then all the conveyors and automation in Palm remind me a lot of the Create mod for Minecraft. You know, I barely know anything about Minecraft. I know I've read books about Minecraft and studied Minecraft, but when it comes to like playing it, I played it a bit when it first came out. I remember because I used to work at a movie theater back then, and I was like the guy up in the roof who does the film projection stuff, basically. And it was actually really fun. I loved that job. But then I got replaced. When I was like 16 or 17, I got replaced with technology. Because they got digital projectors. And then it was like, well, this job sucks now. Because then now I'm just like in a movie theater doing all the boring stuff instead of the one really cool part. They literally got rid of the coolest part of the theater, which was like maintaining the machines and like dealing with like when they break or when like someone messes something up. Because like when you have a film movie, it could be playing and it like falls onto the fucking floor or something, and like you have to deal with that. Like there's all these alarms that go off. It was really, really, really fun to be a film projectionist in a movie theater. And then they went digital and it all sucked. And then I completely lost interest. And that was a learning lesson for me. It was like, yeah, all your jobs are going to be replaced eventually, so be careful what you pick. And that happened to me when I was like, with my first job. Alright. So then Constantine said, make it... Constantine, this is just a wall. It's a perimeter wall. It's not like an actual building. It's like the receiving work area. And I know now I need an actual wall because I've died because I'm not paying attention and a goblin like hears me building and comes over here. So I know I need to like properly choke off this area. And I already know the pattern because I've been using the same pattern for the rest of it. It's quite simple. So let me make sure I have this right here. We have 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, and then 2. Yeah, speak of the devil. Oh, you can just hop over that, huh? Oh, fine. You see, I've been killed so often by these mother... I know what to do now. I learned the goblin thrust. You gotta wait for them to attack, right? And then you gotta get them with the goblin thrust. There we go. Get them with the goblin thrust, and you just double it, and then yeah, suck it. That only works though because this bronze sword is empowered, so it does more damage. I'm pretty sure you can't just double thrust a 2-star goblin with a bronze sword normally. Ooh, those locks. I don't want to deal with that locks. That's why I'm building this wall. And a fundamental thing I've learned about walls in Valheim is if they don't actually defend you against... wow, okay. Let me drink this tea and catch my breath here. If the walls don't actually defend against something, then they're not going to feel like proper walls. For walls to really feel like a wall, they need to defend against danger to the point of getting a little bit damaged sometimes. I'm not saying they need to get super damaged, but I am suggesting that a wall that gets a little bit worn every now and then is going to feel more real to you than a wall that looks even more epic but doesn't get damaged. That's something I've noticed, is there's like this. Oh yeah, I can just... Sorry, I'm geeking out because I can just float the stone because I built with iron. Oh wow, I feel so spoiled. Yeah, Ford's right. Spoiled is one who can build with iron. But that's because it's Path of Magic, so you don't have to mine metals, you just do dungeons and you get building materials. You know, all of the stuff I'm building with, everything here is acquired from goblin camps nearby. I came here with just like some minimal stuff to get started, and the idea is to playtest like the gameplay loop. Because on this server, for me, I know that everyone like they want to have progression, but for me it's not about that. Progression is something I offer for other people, but as you've seen, like I don't give about like boss chests and doing these things. I just like kind of pick a biome and try and go there and like build stuff and do the fighting, right? So the way I look at it is each biome should be fun to build in and fight in, and you should get a different flavor of resources depending on the biome. But in general, I want people to have more building resources. And that's why like on Palm you get a lot of like stone, growstone, ashwood. When you're not cutting trees or doing anything, like monsters drop it. And like that's one situation where I think that excess actually has its place. Not that things should be like overabundant really, but compared to like things you craft with, I think it is actually kind of useful if there's a little bit too many building materials for people. That's better than there being too few building materials. So as I've mentioned, I think Valheim really benefits from having more I know what I can do. I can use those pillars. Yeah, here we go. Valheim benefits from having more more incentives for players to build. It's too easy for the player to identify as a not builder. from my perspective. So I like rocking that boat as much as I can. Ford says the black metal knife jump attack is wonderful for smacking goblins. And to be honest, the palm progression is more about your journey and actual resources. Like Eater is still difficult to get. Yeah, I mean, I haven't even gotten to those parts of the game, to be honest. I don't know. It's funny because I've just been so satisfied like playtesting stuff and building and like basically I see that when I used to play Valheim, I would do this thing where I'd burn myself out. I'd like play it like crazy and get really into a playthrough and play it every day. And like maybe not for like all day every day, but maybe for like an hour to 4 hours. And I've just personally found that when I do that, basically, I can't keep it up. So it ends up feeling not the same. Whereas this time, because I'm like making content and I'm working on the server, like the development of Path of Magic and the scripting, it adds enough variety that I don't feel like I need to just play Valheim for a long time. Because I mean, I put a lot of hours into Valheim, but it's not like I'm just playing. I often just have it open while I'm scripting, just in case I need to check something, or I listen to the music and that kind of thing. And so like now I find that I'm able to like just not really get bored of it in the same way. And I see that one of the main reasons for that is because I was playing it like too obsessively when I did play it. So like I'm not saying I'm not obsessive about Valheim, because I still put loads of I mean I have Valheim open like it's a full-time job pretty much. But I feel like not burned out about it. Whereas before, yeah, I'd get like tired of playing every day. Whereas now I go through phases where I'm less interested in scripting and stuff, but for the most part, yeah, I seem to feel like scripting almost every day of my life. It's been like that for, yeah, like 10 months or something. It's kind of shocking. And for me, it's a big, like, been a huge boost to my happiness, because I've always wanted to practice game design. And I've spent a lot of time, like, kind of molding my life in a way to give me advantages to increase the chance that I can design games. Because I mean, I've been playing games since I was a little kid, and for me, and I think a lot of other people as well, it's pretty apparent that, like, yeah, games can be like anything, really. And I just feel like games are so underutilized, and they could be so much better for people than they are. And I don't mean, I'm not trying to suggest, oh, I can just make better games. I do believe, though, that I can make games that are healthier for people to play. And that's something that Valheim is, one of the reasons I'm so inspired by Iron Gate, is because Iron Gate is, I mean, as far as development studios I pay attention to, like, to be real with you, the game developer's life is absolute shit. Like, most of the time, especially when you work for a AAA company, you end up being forced to do things that you don't necessarily want to work on or do. You often have to watch marketing destroy things and actively participate in it. And then fans and stuff get mad at, like, you and the work that you do and stuff, when really, like, you're just an employee in the company. And, like, the experience of being a game designer is an experience where you have passion, which is abused and taken advantage of by the company that you work for, and they pay you as little as possible so that they can make as much money as possible from the game. And, like, that's the reality of it. And I know that it's the same for many, many things, but I feel like it's kind of worse in game design, because people who design games can often be intensely passionate in a way that I think just doesn't happen as much in, like, more like entry-level work in other situations. So that gets taken advantage of, and people are often like, you know, they just volunteer or do something like that and they aren't reimbursed. These kind of things happen all the time. So, like, for me, it was like, dang, and not just that, but, like, also if you want to get into game design, There's so many people who that's their dream. That's a lot of people who are trying to make that thing happen, right? So from my perspective, it's like, okay, I gotta figure out as many advantages that I can have that make it so, like, I can't be better than other people. Like, eventually I can become skillful. I'm not saying I'm not capable of that, but what I mean is fundamentally, I can't do more than what other people can do. Does that make sense? Like, most people make this mistake. I guess it's ego, where we think we will do it better than other people. We think other people are stupid, or we think other people can't, whatever you want to call it, right? But the reality is, humans are a reflection of the environment and the resource that they have access to. So you cannot function better than another human can in a given context. It's sort of like, can one tree, just because it believes in itself, grow better than another tree when it doesn't have as much water and sunlight as that other tree? Like, obviously, the tree with more resources is going to do better, right? And so people tend to misinterpret that in their own lives, and they think, well, I don't have enough resources. But it's not about the resources. It's about your leverage. And I fundamentally believe that all people have some level or some kind of privilege. Even people who are very poor and have very little, you'll often find that they have a privilege of time. Although there are people who do not have the privilege of time, and they do not have the privilege of money. I'm not saying those people don't exist. But in general, you're going to be better off if you focus on things that you do have in your life that you can utilize, instead of focusing on things that you do not have. Make sense? And this is a mistake people seem to make a lot, to be honest, where they will obsess about the things that they don't have in life, and they'll think that if they had what someone else had, they would fundamentally, like, be different than that person. But that's not how life works. You are a reflection of what you have access to, your ability to leverage it. So you will be the same person if you were that person. That's why, like, it doesn't really make sense to get angry at people from my perspective, because, like, the reality is, like, they are behaving the way they are, and if I was in their shoes, I would do the exact same thing they did. So the only thing I can do is not get involved. They're going to be toxic, and if you look into the way they live and who they're around and how their parents and friends and family treat them, well, you see exactly why they're going to be toxic. And, like, our culture has this notion that, like, oh, it's not the parents' fault. That's all. People say that it's not the parents' fault and it's not the parents' environment. That's all bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. I don't know why that is the thing that people talk about. To be honest, no idea. Doesn't make any sense to me. Why is this guy... Ah, I'm doing it wrong. Sorry. I'm trying to get stone, but I'm trading it to the wrong kind of diverger. I need to trade it to a normal diverger. Let's see. Let me catch up on Ford's comments here. Ford said, it's because you're not consuming it, like how we're conditioned to consume media. Like completionist get to the end type of ideas that make you not want to touch the media again. Absolutely, Ford. That is exactly what I was talking about. That way of, yeah, just racing to the end. And, like, I understand why. And I personally, like, when I was a kid and when I was a lot younger, that's, like, in my corruption phase, I call it. That's how I played games. Because basically, I have my innocent phase in game development, where I was a kid, and I didn't care about beating the game. I just had fun, and I beat a lot of games, but that wasn't because I was trying to. It was because I really loved playing games. And I wouldn't get bored before the game, and then the game would end, and I'd be like, oh. Like, you know what I mean? Whereas now, like, I have to really care about a video game to play it to the end and want to. And a lot of the time, I'm just going to play for 20 or 30 hours and see how I feel. And then just, like, play a different game. And I play retro games that way. Like, right now I'm playing Golden Sun Dark Dawn. But I'm feeling like I don't want to finish it. And, like, I love the first two Golden Sun games. And this is one of those games that's, like, it's not, like, inherently shitty or something. It's just when you build off of nostalgia, you get to a point where, yeah, you have to, like, actually try something new and interesting. But I'm getting too distracted here. Let me take a moment to focus. Because what I need to do is summon Dverger in order to trade with so that I can get stone. Because I have copper, and if I trade the copper to a Dverger that isn't a conveyor foreman, I can get 450 stone. So, I'm gonna do that. Because I ran out of stone, and I don't have that much coin right now. So I don't really have... I could buy more, but it's 900, whereas if you just sell 30 copper, like 30 copper bars, it's way cheaper. I hope I land in the water. Hey, nice. Alright. Now there's a conveyor foreman there, but I swear there was like another Dverger just chilling in the water over here. I guess he's not here anymore though. Yeah, I can't do this trade that I'm trying to do with the foreman because the foreman just give you money for metal. Which I guess that works, because I get metal from other things. I should try and see if I have some kind of, ooh, I'm gonna meet a death skeeter or something, aren't I? Hey, oh, no, that was fate. I know I looked stupid, but it was fate. It was fate. Here he is. Thank you, Mr. Plane Scout. So you're gonna do a trade. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, look at that. See, he gave me a box of stone. That's what I'm talking about. I was concerned for a second because the box didn't show up. Alright, alright, alright. I just need a little spot here to get up on. There we go. Alright, now how much? 700, huh? How much of this can I carry? Not all of it, but a good amount of it. Alright, there we go. There's some of our stone. Yeah, now you know you can actually just get a bunch of stone by trading copper. It's even cheaper than the coin option, because you only need 20, or not, sorry, not 20. You need 30 copper bars to do what I just did. Whereas with the purchase, you need, I think it's 940? Something like that. Whoa, I don't want 50 serpent meat. No, no, no. Serpent meat is so incredibly heavy. Alright, there we go. Now I'm just gonna get the rest of the stone, and this is kind of this moment where I want to build something, and then I ran out of materials while building it, and had to go get more. This is a very, very important moment, because it's the core of what I believe to be the long-term gameplay loop. Later, Ping, or Constantine. I hope you have a good day at work, or that it goes by quickly, or that it's fun, or whatever it needs to be for you to enjoy it. Hey, but that part of the loop is fundamentally important, because I believe that building is a huge part of the long-term immersion experience in Valheim, and people feel more attached and connected to a world with others that they've built in, especially if the things that are getting built get used by other people, right? So it's really important to focus on the things that accommodate that gameplay loop. And that's why I'm mentioning that what's so important is this moment where I'm trying to build something and I run out of resources and then I have to go get more. that has to be fun or convenient. And like, as you saw, I just needed to get 30 copper bars, and now I can build like 400 stone worth more stuff. And obviously, that's not enough to finish the whole castle. But it is enough to keep going and have fun. And I found that that part of the loop is so important. So that's why I've been spending so much time in these playtesting situations where we adjust a dungeon and then we try and make it so the dungeon gives building resources, and then I'll go like build a base or work on a base there, or other players will work on it. That's been motivating for me because I understand that the gameplay loop, the core gameplay loop in Valheim that I want to encourage is this back and forth between acquiring building materials and building. And in normal Valheim that happens, but sort of the problem for me is more that it's too boring and there aren't enough different ways. Sorry, not that Valheim is boring, but the resource acquisition, building material acquisition is too boring. Like, I like chopping trees and mining rocks to a point, but then I just get bored of it and I don't want to do it. So it limits the gameplay loop that I'm going for, right? So that's why I'm like really liberal, let's say, with the amount of building materials and metals that are granted in certain situations. I really do want to make it as convenient as possible to do that kind of more enjoyable part of the building process. But at the same time, I believe that the act of getting materials is fundamentally important for the building to feel real. And that's more for me. And I'm not saying like people who build in dev mode are doing something wrong. I'm just saying for me personally, I don't care about stuff I build in dev mode, but I care about stuff that I built that I had to do, like get each section at a time and slowly build it over time. Like this base, I've been having an absolute blast with it. But because of the back and forth, because I stopped for a little bit, I'm not trying to just finish it all straight away. I'm trying to fight goblins and use what they give me to build stuff that's fun to work with, right? And that's been my angle. So let's see. Ford said, I've been wanting to learn game dev with someone else because I would feel much more motivated and have a lot more fun working with someone else on one project. And two minds is nice. Oh yeah, I feel you there. To be honest, EWP is like, I don't know, if you ever want to work on some feature for the server, you're welcome to. There's actually a couple things other players have done. Like Baliog, he made a script for the Morgan Caves. And like if you get really into something, I'm open as long as I'm like on board with the mechanic you're trying to change. Then like I'm happy to, you can like try and develop something for Palm and I'll put it on the server. And I find that, yeah, I know that EWP scripting, it's not like you own the game or you're making your own game or something. But to be honest, I don't think there's much point in trying to own the first game you make or the first games you work on. Because they're just not, like, I mean, I know people have idolized stories about, like, making a game and it getting big and whatever. That, like, really doesn't happen. Most of the time, people have to make a lot of games to get to a point where they know what they're doing. So, for me, I would rather do that stage for free without having to pay for anything. That's why I'd much rather practice my game development skills by making mechanics in Valheim, because it's just fundamentally, it makes a lot more sense to me. Because that way, I can test things for free, or another player might be willing to test things for me. And then I can focus on development and learn, like, what is normal. Because you may think that, like, it's kind of like DNA. DNA is different, don't get me wrong. Every person has different DNA. But for the most part, everybody's DNA is exactly the same. Because we're all, like, creatures. And even if you take, like, I don't know, something like a dog. A dog has huge quantities of DNA that are the same as a human. Because there's things that are just fundamentally part of existence as a being on Earth. Pretty much. So, that's kind of how I look at it. Like, things can be different, pretty much, and they always will end up being different. Here we go. I think, ooh, you know what I kind of like? I like that gap allow me to, like, stagger that wall a little bit. I think that might look a bit cool. So each one of these is going to go up by 1. I don't know if I'm going to regret that later, but we'll see. Yeah, I might actually have enough stone to finish this. That's crazy. Because the rest of it isn't... Oh no, there's one part. Actually, how should I do this top part? Because I'm still going to cap them. Maybe I should conserve the stone. Yeah, I think I know what I should do. We also got to get the... get the gate in here. But I'm actually gonna... No, I'll just keep going that way, actually. I think it'll look alright. So we went 1 up there, 1 up here, 1 here. And did I mess that pattern up? That looks like it's... Oh no, 2, 4. Okay, that's fine. I like how they got bigger, right? The pattern was 2... Oh no, it was 4, 6. That makes sense. I'm thinking of wood iron beams as units, but they're actually 2 meters each. Ah, my audio's cutting out a lot. Probably because of the... I have a noise gate set up, and if I stop talking, that'll happen. So, like, right now it's probably fine, but if I stop like this, and then I start again, does it cut out? That's something I need. I need to, like, take a course on audio at some point, because audio is one of those things where there's so many different filters and settings that you can usually make things work, but I just didn't really know how they worked, to be honest. Like, I recently learned about that noise gate feature, because basically, if I don't have that set up, I'm next to a loud fan and a fountain, so those things become much more apparent, pretty much. But it might also be something with the connection, I'm not sure. Ah, interesting. But let me try, like, changing the microphone real quick. Alright. Ooh. Too loud. Yeah, just in time for the internet to start crashing. But what about now? I'd actually plugged the microphone into the wrong USB port, and the USB port was malfunctioning. So it was probably turning the microphone off and on and off and on. So probably now it's back to my normal too loud, but not cutting out. Here, now we're at the end of this bricklaying section. So the next part is actually going to be adding the top part and then the Grouston trim elements. So let's re-food here real quick. I should also make some rested buff for myself. Oh, awesome. Thanks for helping me fix that, Ford. Let's see, what time is it now? It's 5:43 for me, so I got like probably like 20 minutes before my internet cuts. That's been happening again recently. I tried to stream on the weekend and it cut out like 6 times. But we're gonna get this we're gonna try and see if we can get this fiber connection. We'll see though. In Nicaragua, it's quite common for them to be like, oh yeah, we're totally available in your area. And then they come and they're like, this is too far away. Alright, Ford. Sleep well, man. Thanks for hanging out. It's always fun when people chat and ask questions and stuff. Alright, so now I'm gonna go with the next layer here. And I think, honestly, that wall doesn't need to be that tall. And I'm gonna need the stone. So I'm actually going to get rid of this top layer here. And we're gonna do the rest of the wall, because normally what I do, oh, that didn't work. Normally what I do is I add like layers to the wall. And we're at the fun part now, because we did the bricklaying. And I like the Grouston trimming part. For me, it's like, I don't know, I really enjoy that part. So we need to make the snap points for our wall here. So that'll be the first one. I guess for the other ones, I'll just use a piece of wood. It's probably more, what's the word? More renewable? Yeah, because each side will need a crosshatch pattern, right? So I'm just putting a snap point if there isn't one there. Like here, for example, see? No snap point, now there is. No snap point here, now there is. Here, now there is. And that one, we already made it. So now we should be good to like clip these top pieces into each... Oh, no, we're going out so they won't clip into each other. It'll be more like this. Is that right? Yeah, halfway. Awesome. Now, I'll probably move these trees around, push them out a little bit, but we'll see. For now, I'm just going to roll with it. How do I want to handle these corners? I guess I should make the... Oh, no. Because I actually need this snap point, not that one. Alright. I need to go place those. Let's do that again. Yeah, they need to be on the interior part. I should have noticed that earlier. Why is that one wall... Ah, it's because it's based on the height. I see. Alright, that one there. Alright, now we should be good. Should just be able to lay all these bricks down now. And I'm just going to skip this part that I need to clip for the moment, so that I can see it more easily with the rest of the wall. It's like, I find it easier to work with things if I do the part that I understand first, and then I leave the areas that I think I might mess up or make weird. Because I like the crossing pattern, so that's why I'm trying to keep that going here. Nice, and for now, our wall is just going to end right there. I'll probably expand things, but as you can probably tell, I've been on a bit of a modular kick with this base. So I just kind of add things bit by bit. Maybe I'll build a frame, and then later on, add more to it. And that's been working well for me. I've been really enjoying the process, in all honesty. That's something I've been targeting this time. Before I used to build things more to like try and finish it, if that makes sense. Whereas this time, I genuinely just wanted to be like, okay, how can I playtest this? But also just do it in a way where I'm having fun. And that's why I'm not like, yeah, I don't even know exactly what I'm doing. But I find out, and it works out. And it's really fun to go through that process, I'd say. Okay, this is solid. Now we have the basic frame of our wall here. And we have an interesting kind of spiral look there. I wasn't necessarily going for that, but I'm just going to integrate it into the rest of this base here. But where do we want our gate to be? I guess the gate, it would make sense for the gate to be right here, wouldn't it? So let's remind ourselves that that's where our gate is going to be. Just probably do it this way. I can get through, right? Yeah, I can get through. A goblin could probably get through too, but that's alright. That'll just be our gate placeholder, so to speak. So now, let's see. Now I can start adding the other elements, right? So we have a shorter wall and a longer wall, and then they angle and repeat around the circle. So let's figure out where our pillars need to be. Usually, it's one away from the edge. Just like that, right? In this case, I'm going to skip that other one. But if we were to do one away from the edge here... I think in this case, I'm going to do something different. Instead of doing one away from the edge, we're actually going to do one in the middle, pretty much. So it'll be like right there. And that means I have to do some of the nasty, you know what I mean? The nasty shift clicking. But that's okay. I think it'll be easier that way. Let's go with something simple. Maybe just like that. Alright. Now here it's the same deal as before. We want one from the external. And then that's going to make this kind of passageway, right? So one from the external. There we go. Now, is that going to be enough, right? Because this is the gate, so it could be special. It could have a little bit wider of a pillar setup, and it would be fine. Because gates that are only this wide don't look that grand, and this is like one of the more grand entrances to the base. So instead of putting the pillars there, I'm going to change where they are. But for now, I want to check something out here. If I can get 30 more copper, I should be solid. And I have a feeling there is 30 copper just kind of chilling around. Let's see. What can I build that uses copper? Probably a crafting bench of some kind? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, 44 copper. Okay, there's definitely 30 copper somewhere. Here's 23 of it. That's most of it. Now we just need a little bit more, but where might it be? Ooh, ooh, ooh. I think in these chests. Yeah, here's some. And then here's the rest of it. Nice. And we only need 30. And then we just need to go find our little diverger buddy. But I think I'm actually going to be a little bit smart for once. And I'm going to go to bed and pass the time and also get a rested buff. Hey, good morning, the Harbinger. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you're doing well. I'm finishing up my Monday morning stream. This stream is usually shorter because I have a work meeting on Sunday night. And for me to stream, I have to start before... Basically, my internet cuts out at 6 a.m. It becomes too low quality to stream. So I have to finish the stream by 6 a.m. my time, which means I need to wake up like super early. So on Mondays, I'm kind of tired, although I feel super inspired today. I'm really excited to work on the Wandering Diverger patch for Path of Magic. I was babbling a little bit about that earlier on, but started working on that in the previous live stream, the development live stream, and we encountered these problems and stuff, and then we overcame everything over the weekend, and the others in Valheim World Editing helped me figure stuff out, and awesome. So now everything's set up, and I want to work on it. And that's always nice, because I'm not like constantly super inspired. Sometimes I just want to rest. And I think that's for the best. It's like not possible to be inspired all the time. But it's been a while since I got really into like a bigger patch on Palm, so I'm excited about this one because I can already feel it. Like, I did all the complicated stuff, and like the most challenging parts of the self-scripting, not self-scripting, but the development process, the most challenging parts are like in the beginning when you try and do something and you don't really know exactly what mechanics you're going to use and how you're going to make it work. But then at some point you figure that out, and then you know, and then you can actually just start building. It's sort of like when if you get like some paints or something and you don't know how to use the medium or whatever, but then you learn how to use it, and then you can just kind of free flow, you know what I mean? The same thing happens in scripting. So you'll get something and it's very confusing and you don't know how to use it, but then eventually you get it to a point where it makes a lot of sense to you, and that particular script, you know exactly what you want to do, and then you can make it a lot bigger. And usually the way I work on scripts, I'll like make a system that's modular, so it's like one thing, but then that thing can then be copy pasted like 20 times to make like 20 different versions of the event, right? That's the idea. Let's see, actually I guess I could just keep this in my inventory here. Now we're good, we're rested. And you'll see, right now, it looks a bit odd, you know what I mean? But soon, once we add that second layer, it really will start looking more like a castle. And the Harbinger says, yeah, you have a bunch of iterations until you get what you want. I can't script. I sound like a robot when I do. That's funny. Well, oh, the hens just woke up. I think you were joking, right? Because script normally would mean making, like, writing something, right? I also have never tried writing a script. I think I also, too, would struggle. I can write in ways that express things, but when it comes to, like, describing a scene, I don't have enough practice with, like, how to transition from, like, dialogue to describing the scene, and I don't know how to do that and then do it in a way that's funny. Like, it's kind of hard to wrap my head around. So I also too would most likely sound like a robot, to be honest. Let's see, what day does it say? It's Monday, right? Well, I hope that you have some fun stuff going on this week, or something you're excited about. It's always nice. And especially if that thing you're excited about is the current moment. I mean, then you're really lucky. Got it all figured out. Alright. Yeah, now I'm eating my words for for carrying all the stone with me. Ah, yeah. I see, Harbinger. So you weren't joking, you were talking, yeah. Yeah, so I've been talking about the server, the Valheim server I'm playing on right now is called Path of Magic. And it is, yeah, like scripted with EWP, so I add mechanics to it and all sorts of different stuff. So when I say scripts, I'm referring to like the programming script, so to speak. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about how far that juts off the edge like that, but I guess we'll see once I add the trim, because you never really know until you start adding the trim. And that's when you know, like, ah, okay. That's quite nice. That's quite nice, or that's not nice. You know what I mean? And I'm just going to keep doing the same kind of thing around here. For now, I'm not going to do too much clipping. I'm just going to focus on areas I can already see and try and just get a feel for what it's going to look like. Harbinger says, I have a lot of fun stuff. My small human is on break from... Your small human. I see. My small human is on break from school, so lots of rainy day stuff planned and lots of games and movies. Oh, that's awesome. Honestly, I don't think there's anything quite as... I need to let the hens out. But I was gonna say that I don't think there's anything quite as pure, so to speak, as the joy a kid feels. There are people who can enjoy things like that. I've met people, sometimes I'm like that. But for the most part, kids are able to just have fun with really simple things in a way that most others just can't when they get older. And I like being around kids for that reason, because it helps me remember that energy of like just doing something because in the moment it feels right. Like that's basically what kids do. It's not like they're like, I'm gonna make this plan and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. And like they just like see stuff and react to it. You know what I mean? And like that's how they are, right? So I think there's a lot that people can learn from children. And I'm gonna get rid of this second beam there. I don't think that it adds to the situation here. Oh, but oh no, okay. So I get rid of the second beam when it's coming from that kind of wall. I see. I got a double standard. Alright, there it's a little bit. There it's small. There it's a little bit. So that one's, oh yeah, but it's not. Alright, I see. It's probably just in that spot then. Because these spots have more of the jut out. I could also do that. It's alright. I'll do a thing here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do it like this. Oh, it was there. I ruined it. There we go. Now, do I have any other missing spots there? That looks solid. That looks solid. Huh. I think I'm alright with it. Okay, so now it's time to see. How much grouston do we have? 10 in my inventory, but probably more than that. Still got some stuff to work on, though, like these pillars here. Now that we've freed these up. That's good. That one definitely looks weird. But these are like the gate pillars, so I guess that's okay, but it looks weird to me because it's not also on this side. So let's put that in. Okay, so those are both there. These trees, I like that one. I think I'm gonna chop this one here. I didn't bring my axe though, so for now it's staying up. Alright, this is okay. This is okay. Could probably use a better visualization for the gate, but that's okay for now. Now I need to add the crenellations, I think they're called. Or ramparts? Is it rampart or crenellation? I don't remember. Harbringer says, oh yeah, there's a whole lot of that in my house. It's good to have time set aside for kids to be kids. Yeah, that's the phrase, right? Let kids be kids. Honestly, I think we should let people be kids too. Something I did in my life that honestly was hugely beneficial for me as an individual was I revisited everything I did as a kid, but as an adult. So like I played all the games that I used to like as a kid, I played all of these other things, and people in my life judged me for not like working on careers more. But I'd seen my father die and seen a bunch of miserable people who worked on their careers. And none of those people who were very concerned about me not working on my career seemed very happy to me. So pretty early on I got in with this mentality of screw it, I need to figure out what makes me happy and just belligerently do that no matter how other people feel about it. And I think a lot of people aren't in a position where they can change everything about their life. But they are in a position where they can watch a movie that they watched as a kid. And they can play a game that they played as a kid. And they can read a book that they liked as a kid. And if you're anything like me, this is what will happen. Basically, when you're a kid, you're more able to innocently enjoy something. But then, as you get older, you start to get tricked into thinking that that's not good and you shouldn't do that. And so then your psyche starts to put that effort into other things that you think you're supposed to do. Etc., etc., etc. But I've found that it does actually keep going. And I can enjoy things just as much now as an adult as when I was a child. However, there was this phase, I'll call it the corruption phase, as I mentioned earlier in the stream, where I just wanted to beat games, and that was my attitude. So I started out innocent, so to speak, and enjoying things, and then I started trying to do stuff. I felt like I had to be good at things that I did. That was the problem. That was the dawn of all the issues. So when you feel like you have to be good at what you're doing, it's very stressful. Very, very stressful and completely and utterly unnecessary. You don't have to be good at what you do. If you just have fun at what you do, you're going to become good at it. So even if you are concerned about it, you don't have to be that concerned about it. And what I found happened is that I became very complacent when I was a teenager. And I did not care about games anymore. I just could not have fun playing them anymore. They didn't feel meaningful to me. It didn't feel like it mattered. It felt like it was a waste of my time. I was listening to that vibe of like, oh, if you play games, you're wasting your time. You should work on something. It's like, nah. I don't believe in functioning members of society. There's just humans. Most people are just who are supposedly functioning members of society. All that functioning member of society means is you're willing to give your life up for some rich person to be a little bit richer. I don't think that that's something to look up to, personally. But other people seem to. So, I mean, that's fine. If they can be happy living their lives for other people who don't really care about them that much. Although I tend to exaggerate a bit because I know that it's not really like that for everybody. I knew loads of people who were absolutely miserable and hated what they did. But a lot of people aren't like that. Like, there are a lot of people who genuinely really love their jobs. And they have bosses who take care of them and that sort of thing. People like that exist. Absolutely. I just wasn't exposed to that very much growing up. I was exposed to a lot of people who passionately hated their jobs. I was even in a situation where a boss told me that if I don't quit within a year, she's gonna fire me. Because the company we work for is so dead end and such a waste of everyone's life that she couldn't bear to have a person who seems like a good person go through that. So like I've had multiple situations in my life where people have made damn sure that like I didn't get caught in the rat race that they got caught in. So that also made it a lot easier for me to be like, okay, there's other ways to live. Like, I know that like from the Western perspective, life is just like your job is a huge part of it. But one of the main parts of that, well, no, let's be real, that's just because of how expensive it is to live in the West. It's not like people actually want to work that much. They work that much because they have to in order to pay for the bills and feed their families and stuff. But it's not actually necessary if you live in a cheaper country. And if you have a remote job or work online, most of the things that you think are only available to you because of where you live and the privilege there are just like, it's propaganda. The world is a big place, and there's a lot of lovely, incredible lives being lived in places that you think are shitholes or impoverished. And for me, like, I'd rather live in an area where there's, like, because I work online and I can access funds, like, you can, it's easier to be meaningful to people in those areas. And at least that's been my experience in Nicaragua. Like, if someone I care about needs help in Nicaragua, I can't, like, fix it. Like, it's not like I can just completely fix the situation, but I can make it easier. Whereas in the US, get fucked. Like, sorry to curse, but that was how it was for me. Like, I couldn't afford to take care of myself. And even, like, the people I know who can afford to do that, they're working, like, constantly. And that's the problem. It's like, I don't know how people do it. Because, like, I'd rather, like, would you rather earn $800 a month but be able to have a peaceful, happy life where you get to play games and do what you want and plant and do everything you care about, and have people judge you for how little you earn? Or would you rather earn thousands of dollars every month, have a really nice job, have cars, money, but then people but then people don't actually, or sorry, but then you don't have any time, you know? And for me personally, I would much rather have free time. I think free time is it's the fundamental currency of all of existence. If you don't have free time, you don't have leverage. And, like, I get that people feel that way about money, but I think that money is the indirect thing. Like, in the modern era, I'd rather have free time and access to the internet and a computer than a bunch of money. Because I can make some money with free time and access to a computer. And then I can do the things that I like. And I know that from the outside perspective, I do have I'm very lucky to be able to just, like, play Valheim all the time, and I wouldn't necessarily always be able to do that, but for now I can, and I can do that for the next 9 months pretty much. Just, like, make content, do these things, and try it all out. But it wasn't really like that for most of my life, I will say. Like, that's been a thing for 5 or 6 years after I moved to Nicaragua. But before then, I had a much more, I've never been, like, a traditional person, but I definitely had a more traditional life. And, like, I worked and commuted and drove a car, did these things, and, like, I'd get stuck in traffic and sit in traffic, and I'd get more work done so that I could go home early, and then I'd get in trouble because I remember my boss's wife, actually, there were two bosses, there was a husband and a wife. The lady pulled me aside and she was like, "Look, Jack, there's something you need to understand. It doesn't matter what you do. The only thing that matters is what you look like you're doing." And it was because I was frustrated, because I was like, I want to be able to be motivated to get finished so I can go home and live my life. If I can't go home early, why the hell will I try and finish anything at a reasonable pace? Like, there's no reason to, because I get paid by the hour. So literally, I should take as long as possible. There's absolutely no reason to be quick, right? So, like, from my perspective, from the business's perspective, they're better off by incentivizing me, by letting me go home at the 8th hour or the 7th hour if I got all my work done. But no, I had to work 10 hours getting nothing done, and then the boss was super happy with me. You know, I hate that bullshit. Like, that's the thing that makes me able to persist in this life, in this way of being, is that I fundamentally despise having to put my time into imagery. I would much rather build something genuine than trick people into thinking I am working on something so that they don't think something about me. And no offense to people, but humans seem to waste huge, huge quantities of their life concerning themselves with what other people think about them, when most of the time other people don't even give a shit. It's like the most baffling, absurd waste of time if you actually boil it down to reality. Like, I get that we all think everyone's thinking about us, and like in my case, maybe I'm scruffy, maybe I make a YouTube video or whatever, and I didn't shave or whatever, or I didn't brush my hair. People are going to judge me for that, and less people will watch the video, and people will take me less seriously. I don't give a shit. It's okay. I don't need to maximize every moment of my existence to be the most visually appealing. And I think that in doing so, over the span of multiple years, we waste so much of our own time, all in the name of people we often don't even care about. Oh. There goes the internet. Oh wait, did the oh, it didn't break. Okay. Oh, one second. Well, somehow the internet didn't pop. That's funny. Basically, a transformer popped outside, and the power went out for a second, but apparently it wasn't long enough to cut the modem. The Harbinger says, how does that even work from a business standpoint? If I had an employee that got things done quicker and I didn't have to pay for extra hours, I would be happy. Oh. Yeah. No, they probably had me on salary. I think I was on salary or something. That'll do it, right? I started that job on hourly work, but then by the end of it, I was on salary. I worked for a closet installation company. So basically, I lived in a very wealthy area where I had very little money. So my experience compared to everyone else was that I was quite poor, but not poor by like worldwide standards, like relative standards. So I could afford to rent like a $500 room in a not so nice neighborhood, living in a house full of other people renting the rooms from Craigslist. That was like my affordability. But then for my job, I would help build closets in rich people's houses. So it was a very interesting experience going from like my reality where like sometimes like I would eat like the cheapest possible food I could. I had to like, yeah, I got sick at some point and I had to work less to be able to afford to do the treatment, but it made me very sick while I was on the treatment, so I couldn't work. It was a mess, absolute mess. Yeah, exactly. American poor, exactly. Yeah, it's like you're poor, but you have a dishwasher, or you have access to one, you have access to air conditioning, you have hot water, but you can't afford, you know, basic necessities. You know what I mean? Like here in Nicaragua, that's like, it's ridiculous. Like for if you told someone that you couldn't afford something, but you're paying for air conditioning, they'd be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Like, you can afford things. You're paying for air conditioning. Like, that is absolutely not necessary, basically. You know? And yeah, as the Harbinger said, American poor is different than the rest of the world. Yeah, well, I would say American poor is different than the undeveloped places in the world. But like the American life is honestly, I know that I get in trouble for speaking this way, but for in my experience, the American society is the most heavily successfully propagandized society. In general, the English speaking world is so propagandized that they don't actually see. They have this way of thinking that propagandized, like they know their governments do propaganda, but at the same time, they feel like other governments propagandize their citizens more. And you know, like people in Russia and China and other countries, they're more propagandized. That's like how the average English speaker I know feels, whether they're in the U.S. or in the U.K. And from my perspective, living around the world, it's just batshit nonsense. Like we live in a world that is defined by English media and like shows and news stations that are all incredibly heavily propagandized and often owned by corporations. And many of our habits and the things that we do were set up specifically so that we would be profitable to a company. So, like, we are the propagandists, right? Like, that, I mean, that's how I look at it. So I get very confused when English speakers talk about other places being like that. Because my experience has been that the developed world itself, so to speak, or let's say let's refer to the English portion of the developed world. It's how you explain the Harbinger. Like, how the American poor is different than the rest of the world. Like, absolutely. Like, in these countries, you can have so much while experiencing having so little. Alright, and that's it for now, everybody. I will see you all in the next episode of the Path of Magic live stream. We'll be back on Wednesday, and then on Friday, there'll be another development live stream. I do these on Monday, and Wednesday, we do playthroughs on Lab Rat. I do playtesting sessions. Today, I was just building stuff and nothing too intense, but next time I'll do some fighting and get some more goblin resources, because as you saw, I'm just running out of stone constantly, so I need to go get some money somehow. But if you want to support my work, then consider supporting me on Patreon, especially if you play on the server. It's a fantastic way to feel like you can contribute and encourage me, because it is hugely encouraging. I can't believe that 3 people, Panan, Teens, and Jerry, all support me on Patreon, and that is incredible. Thank you all so much for that. It's been an honor. But also, you could rent your own dedicated Valheim server if you want to practice making your own version of Valheim that other people can play around with. It's been a really meaningful experience, and scripting has made Valheim so much more endlessly enjoyable. For me personally, once I started scripting and learning about Yair's EWP mod, Expand World Prefabs, my frustrations with Irongate completely ended. I no longer feel that Irongate has done anything wrong with Valheim, or that they're limiting Valheim, because I see that we actually have the tools to overcome all of those limitations. It's just people don't know about them, and people don't use them. So it's not even about Irongate anymore. I was able to fix everything I care about and make a version of Valheim that I absolutely love playing, and I don't feel that interested in playing normal Valheim. I'm not saying it's the best version of Valheim. It's the best version of Valheim for me. Right? And I like things that are quirky and different, and it's not going to be the best for everybody. But it's something I really love and I enjoy so much. So if you want more of the ability to change mechanics in Valheim, if you feel like there's things that you've wondered, like, what if this was just different? What would it feel like if that happened? Or even if you wanted to make some kind of custom quest, all of these things are possible. You can make custom scripted dungeons. You can make all sorts of stuff in Valheim now using EWP. So if you want to learn about that, you can actually do it in single player. You don't need a server, but I find it more fun if you have a server, because then other people can play and then they get to experience this stuff, and it's really cool. And I got a lot of content about setting all of that up and learning how to use it, so you can check that out if you're interested. Alternatively, you could just like the video and subscribe. Oh my god, I said to subscribe. I haven't been doing that because I just feel like it's so gimmicky. Does it really matter? But whatever.